Today, we unravel the tapestry of a mystery that has captivated our collective consciousness for decades: the perplexing disappearance of Kristin Smart. This isn't just a story, it's a haunting enigma that has resisted the hands of time, leaving us with more questions than answers. Join me as we embark on a journey through the shadows of uncertainty, exploring the mysterious circumstances surrounding Kristin Smart's vanishing act, an odyssey filled with twists, turns, and a pursuit of justice that spans years. Get ready for a deep dive into the chilling story that has held us captive, as we strive to unlock the secrets of Kristin Smart's enduring mystery. Before the inexplicable events of May 25, 1996, Kristin Smart was a vivacious 19-year-old student at California Polytechnic State University, known for her radiant spirit and enthusiasm for life. Born on February 20, 1977, Kristin hailed from Stockton, California, and was pursuing a major in life sciences. Described by friends and family as a caring and ambitious young woman, Kristin had a promising future ahead. As we dive into her background, it becomes evident that Kristin was not only dedicated to her studies but was also an active member of the Cal Poly community. Her warm demeanor and friendly nature had made her many friends, and she was well liked by those who knew her. However, the idyllic college life took a dark turn on the night of May 25, 1996. These individuals are Denise and Stan Smart, parents of Kristin Smart. They are known for their laid-back and down-to-earth demeanor. Interestingly, they both worked as teachers for the children of American military personnel during their 3-year stint overseas. Upon their return to the United States, Kristin was born, bringing unexpected joy to the couple who initially believed they might struggle with conception. Kristin grew up in Stockton, California, in a loving and supportive family. She had a playful and adventurous spirit from a young age, described by her parents as an exceptional learner and a brave, motivated child. Despite being a surprise to her parents, Kristin brought immense happiness to their lives. As she navigated childhood, she quickly learned to walk and talk, displaying a remarkable aptitude for various activities. In October of 1979, Stan and Denise welcomed another child, a son named Matthew. In 1982, they expanded their family once more with the arrival of a daughter, Lindsay. The Smarts decided to settle down in the picturesque area of Stockton, California, to raise their family. Kristin, being the eldest, embraced her role as a big sister with enthusiasm. Described as funny and engaging, she enjoyed spending time with her younger siblings, playing games, and creating lasting memories. As Kristin progressed through her academic journey, she emerged as a dedicated student, despite the challenges presented by her ADHD. Her parents fondly recall her love for being active, particularly in activities involving water, such as swimming and surfing. In addition to her academic pursuits, Kristin participated in soccer, school plays, and eventually ventured into babysitting. Her playful and caring nature made her a favorite among children and their parents. Despite not being widely popular, Kristin had a circle of good friends, many of whom she met through Girl Scouts, neighborhood connections, and school activities. Kristin harbored dreams of becoming an architect, fueled by her exceptional talent for drawing detailed house plans. However, she also expressed an interest in journalism, aspiring to travel the world and interview interesting people. Her adventurous spirit led her to explore opportunities such as spending a summer in London, another in Venezuela as a foreign exchange student, and attending high school in Napa during her junior year. Upon graduating in 1995, Kristin embarked on a new chapter by enrolling at California Polytechnic State University, Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo. Initially pursuing a major in communication, she eventually aspired to become a journalist. Kristin's independent spirit shone through as she navigated the challenges of freshman year, expressing her desire to experience college life fully. Her parents, supportive of her endeavors, observed her growth and adjustments. Despite facing academic challenges and contemplating a change of scenery, Kristin persisted in her studies. She even worked as a lifeguard at the Cal Poly pool, showcasing her love for water-related activities. As summer approached in 1996, Kristin looked forward to spending time at the beach. However, her disappearance on Memorial Day weekend would cast a dark shadow over the promising life she was building. The events that unfolded that night would plunge her family, friends, and the entire community into a prolonged and agonizing search for answers. On that fateful evening, Kristin attended an off-campus party with friends. The scene was typical of college gatherings. Laughter, music, and the vibrant energy of youth filled the air. Little did anyone know that this seemingly ordinary night would soon transform into a haunting mystery. As the night progressed, Kristin found herself caught up in the festivities, creating memories with friends and fellow students. The clock ticked towards the early hours of May 25th, marking the end of the party. As attendees dispersed, Kristin, accompanied by friends, began the journey back to her Muir Hall dormitory. However, the events that unfolded during this journey would forever remain shrouded in uncertainty. In the dimly lit pathways leading back to campus, something inexplicable happened, and Kristin Smart vanished without a trace. The last confirmed sightings of Kristin that night are a crucial puzzle piece in this enduring mystery. Witnesses recall her presence at the party, her interactions with friends, and her departure with the group. However, as the night progressed, the details become murkier. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance, was she alone, did anyone follow her, or did she encounter someone along the way, remain unanswered questions that have haunted investigators, her family, and the community for decades. In recounting the events surrounding Kristin's disappearance, her roommate, Crystal, returned to the dorm on a Saturday morning to find Kristin's backpack on the bed, but Kristin was nowhere to be seen. Initially, they dismissed it, considering that college students often sleep in various places. However, as Kristin failed to reappear over the weekend, concerns grew. Crystal sought help from their friends, including Margarita, to inquire around campus, but no one had seen or heard from Kristin. The situation escalated when Kristin did not contact her parents, prompting worry. Despite giving Kristin some independence, her parents, Stan and Denise, became increasingly anxious. Frustration arose when campus police refused to file a missing person report, attributing Kristin's absence to a potential spontaneous trip. Even after contacting local police, who echoed a lack of urgency, Kristin's parents faced distressing reassurances that she might return soon. Eventually, on Monday morning, friends decided to involve the police. Jennifer Phipps initiated the call, but campus police hesitated, suggesting Kristin might be on a Memorial Day weekend getaway. Growing concerned, Kristin's mom, Denise, received a call from a Cal Poly police officer, triggering a mother's intuition that something was wrong. The police insisted Kristin might be traveling, but encouraged Denise to seek resources to find her. Despite the delay, the police filed a missing person report for Kristin on May 28, with the campus newspaper acknowledging it on May 31. Feeling abandoned, Kristin's parents took matters into their own hands. Stan drove down to the campus, putting up flyers and expressing frustration at the delayed investigation, crucial in the initial 40 hours of a disappearance. As the investigation began, the focus turned to witnesses from the night of Kristin's disappearance. Witnesses recounted unsettling interactions with Paul Flores, the primary person of interest. Reports included Tim Davis observing Kristin on the ground with Paul and Trevor's odd encounter with him outside the bathroom. Numerous female students attested to Paul's inappropriate advances and aggressive behavior at the party, supporting a growing suspicion. When interviewed by the police, Paul offered conflicting information, claiming a chance encounter at the party and denying interaction until walking Kristin to her dorm. However, discrepancies emerged, such as phone records conflicting with his account. Physical injuries on Paul, including a black eye, were dismissed by the police, despite contradictory statements about their origin. Paul Flores, with a history of violence and inappropriate behavior, lacked close friends and had a reputation for being creepy. Incidents included stalking, harassment, and trespassing. However, past encounters with law enforcement resulted in lenient consequences. As the investigation intensified, Kristin's parents felt uninformed and distressed, comparing their daughter's case to a missing bicycle. The incident report released on May 31 exacerbated their frustration, highlighting a lack of transparency and urgency in Kristin's disappearance. After conducting interviews with numerous individuals present at the party, the investigating officer recorded that Kristin appeared highly inebriated and was engaging in flirtatious interactions with several men. In his notes, he remarked, "She lives in her own way, not conforming to typical teenage behavior," while clarifying that these observations did not insinuate any connection to her disappearance. The officer's comments seemed to subtly attribute responsibility to Kristin's conduct on the night she went missing. This could be perceived as victim blaming, placing undue emphasis on her behavior. On June 20th, an investigator, in a conversation with the school newspaper, stated, "There is no evidence of criminal activity. It doesn't look like she was the victim of a crime. So we are pursuing this case as an adult missing under unusual circumstances." Fortunately, the campus police's involvement was limited, as the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department took over on June 26, 1996. Within 3 days, they organized a comprehensive search involving over 400 volunteers, helicopters, and cadaver dogs, resources that would have been beneficial in the initial stages of her disappearance. During the search, specially trained dogs indicated a scent outside room 128 in Santa Lucia Hall, the residence shared by Paul Flores and his roommate Derek T.S.E. Despite this discovery, the room had been cleaned by the janitor, potentially compromising crucial evidence. Interviews with witnesses pointed to Paul Flores as a person of interest. Accounts of his behavior that night included alarming incidents like pushing or falling on top of Kristin, confrontations with others, and unwelcome advances towards multiple female students. In police interviews, Paul Flores provided inconsistent information about his interactions with Kristin and his activities that night. The presence of injuries on him raised suspicions, yet the police inexplicably chose not to document them with photographs. Paul's troubling history of violence and inappropriate behavior towards women further added to the suspicions. As the investigation progressed, the campus police's handling of the case drew criticism. A delay in filing a missing person report, lack of urgency, and reliance on questionable theories about Kristin's whereabouts frustrated her friends and family. The eventual involvement of the San Luis Obispo police marked a turning point, initiating interviews and investigations into Paul Flores. The official narrative, as presented by the police, seemed to downplay the severity of Kristin's disappearance. Statements implying her voluntary absence or potential holiday trips created distress for her parents, who, worried by Kristin's uncharacteristic silence, pressed for police action. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed against Paul Flores, but his lack of cooperation and evasive responses during depositions intensified suspicions. Later developments revealed disturbing information about Paul Flores and his family. Reports of construction in Susan Flores' backyard after Kristin's disappearance, including an incident where Paul and others were seen digging and pouring concrete late at night, raised suspicions. Witnesses claimed to have observed the burial of a heavy object resembling a rolled-up carpet. A garage built on the site further obstructed access to potential evidence. Subsequent searches and investigations at Susan Flores' property yielded inconclusive results, leaving Kristin's case unsolved. Despite the FBI designating it a high-priority missing persons investigation and offering a substantial reward, the case remained shrouded in mystery. Efforts to uncover the truth have faced challenges, including the loss of critical evidence, lack of cooperation, and legal constraints. Kristin Smart's disappearance remains an open and haunting chapter, leaving her family and investigators grappling with unanswered questions. The Paul Flores connection. Paul Flores, born on October 18, 1977, shared the Cal Poly campus with Kristin Smart. Described as a fellow student, Flores hailed from Arroyo Grande, California. As investigators retraced the events leading up to Kristin's disappearance, they honed in on Flores as the person who had last been in her company. This pivotal connection would cast a shadow over the investigation and shape the trajectory of the case. The initial suspicion surrounding Paul Flores was not arbitrary. As the last person seen with Kristin, Flores naturally became a person of interest in the eyes of law enforcement. Investigators scrutinized the details of their interaction at the party and the subsequent journey back to campus, seeking clues that might unravel the mystery. Reports from witnesses and friends who were present that night played a crucial role in establishing Flores's connection to Kristin's last known moments. The dynamics of Paul Flores's interaction with Kristin during the party and the aftermath became a focal point of the investigation. Questions arose about their relationship, the nature of their conversation that night, and whether there were any signs of distress or unusual behavior. As investigators dug deeper, they sought to uncover the dynamics between Kristin and Flores. What conversations took place? Were there disagreements, or did anything transpire that could provide insight into the events leading to her disappearance? The evidence and circumstances that propelled Paul Flores to the forefront of the investigation were both intriguing and troubling. Reports suggested that Flores exhibited evasive behavior when questioned by authorities, adding a layer of suspicion. Moreover, inconsistencies in his statements and the lack of a credible alibi intensified the focus on him. As investigators gathered more information, they discovered that Flores had a history of encounters with law enforcement, including a prior arrest for driving under the influence. Another significant figure in Kristin's case is Dennis Mahon, a dedicated citizens detective who volunteered to investigate her disappearance. His involvement began in the late 90s, and he played a crucial role in supporting Kristin's family's quest for justice. Dennis's active engagement with the case led him to a conversation with one of the lead investigators, where he raised a pertinent question: why had Susan's yard never been subjected to excavation? Shockingly, the investigator allegedly disclosed that a collective decision among the investigative team deemed it unworthy. The rationale behind this decision was fear of potential expenses in case the concrete was damaged without yielding any findings. This revelation stirred considerable dismay within Kristin's family upon learning that the cost factor had influenced the investigative approach. Subsequently, when Dennis went public with this information, the police vehemently denied the claims, asserting that they never made such statements and attributing their inaction to an inability to authorize the excavation. The recurring theme of cost-related concerns as a deterrent for investigative measures seems perplexing, given the community's willingness to provide financial support, services, and even equipment on a voluntary basis. Despite the community's proactive involvement, investigators persisted in using cost considerations as a justification, leaving many puzzled. Frustrated by the lack of progress in the case, Dennis took a bold approach to initiate direct communication with the Flores family. While unconventional, his tenacity in reaching out to them reflected a sense of urgency, driven by the perceived inertia of the official investigation. Dennis attempted conversations with Paul, which led to brief interactions before Paul's parents intervened and brought him inside their home. This unconventional approach, however, did not come without consequences. Susan's response to Dennis's attempts to communicate escalated to the point where she was arrested for physically confronting him outside her house. In a shocking revelation, Dennis claimed that Susan, during this confrontation, confessed, stating, "Yes, Paul killed Kristin, and he also killed that Modafferi girl too." Following this incident, Dennis adapted his strategy, realizing that he could discreetly document the Flores family's activities through photography, provided he maintained a position outside their property boundaries. The complexity and unusual dynamics surrounding the case continued to unfold, with citizen investigators like Dennis Mahon taking unconventional steps in the pursuit of answers and justice for Kristin. They also reciprocated by capturing images of him. Thus, a peculiar photographic confrontation ensued, with both parties engaging in the act of documenting each other's activities. The persistence of Dennis Mahon became a source of irritation for the Flores family, leading them to take legal action. Eventually, they successfully obtained a restraining order against him, a measure aimed at curbing his activities. Despite the issuance of the restraining order, Dennis demonstrated little regard for its constraints and continued to violate its terms. This transgression resulted in his arrest when the Flores family involved law enforcement. In an unexpected turn of events, the Flores family took an aggressive stance by filing a lawsuit against the Smart family in August of 2005. In this legal action, they asserted that Dennis was effectively working on behalf of the Smarts. According to their claims, the Smarts were thus held responsible for the alleged harassment and stalking perpetrated by Dennis. The lawsuit contended that the Smarts were both legally and financially accountable for the distress inflicted upon the Flores family due to Dennis's actions. Despite the seemingly audacious nature of this legal maneuver, it inadvertently presented an opportunity for the Smart family. The lawsuit created a legal avenue to extract more information about Kristin's case, as the Flores family's property could now be subjected to further scrutiny to establish the legitimacy of Dennis's activities. Fortuitously, the legal teams were able to negotiate the terms of the property search without involving the police department directly. In March of 2007, a distinguished expert in ground-penetrating radar technology was enlisted to conduct a thorough examination of the Flores family's property. However, he faced limitations in obtaining readings from certain areas, specifically the planter boxes and the recently constructed garage. This restriction was particularly frustrating as these were the very locations where cadaver dogs had detected a scent. Although allowed to inspect the remaining sections of the yard, the expert was denied access to the critical area. An excavation crew managed to breach the specified spot, extracting concrete for testing. Remarkably, they concluded that this particular location was not indicative of a potential burial site. It's noteworthy, though, that the crew was not granted permission to excavate the planter boxes, a crucial area where Kristin was suspected to have been concealed. Throughout this enduring journey, the Smart family, though faced with immense frustration, never relinquished their hope. In May of 2002, Kristin was officially declared dead, prompting concerns within her family that her memory might fade from public consciousness. The media coverage dwindled, and conversations about Kristin became less prominent. In an effort to keep her name alive, the family sought public donations to maintain billboards in the area, an expensive but valuable method to sustain awareness. The pivotal turning point occurred in 2011 when Sheriff Ian Parkinson, newly elected, assumed control of the case. He committed to a comprehensive review of all available evidence, instilling a renewed sense of hope in the Smart family. However, progress was painstakingly slow. It wasn't until September 6, 2016, that the Sheriff's Department announced the pursuit of a new lead, marked by an extensive search of the campus involving cadaver dogs and earth movers. The excavation spanned 4 days, revealing a glimmer of progress after 2 decades of stagnation. This development, which caught widespread attention, was instrumental in reshaping the narrative around Kristin's case. In 2019, a surprising ally emerged in the form of Chris Lambert, a musician who, deeply concerned for Kristin, embarked on creating the podcast Your Own Backyard. Motivated by passing billboards and the mystery surrounding Kristin's disappearance, Lambert's podcast gained substantial traction. The podcast, featuring new information and compelling interviews, brought the case back into the spotlight. The police, recognizing its significance, obtained a court order to monitor Paul's cell phone, leading to revelations and interviews that had eluded investigators previously. One significant figure brought forward through the podcast was Neil Van Estate, an Australian exchange student. His overlooked story became a pivotal piece in the puzzle. Van Estate recounted witnessing a struggle between a man and a woman in Sierra Madre Hall on the night of Kristin's disappearance, providing crucial details that aligned with the case. This revelation, coupled with other developments, helped paint a clearer picture of the events that transpired on that fateful night. The momentum continued into 2020, with the recovery of both Flores family trucks and subsequent search warrants executed at various locations. Electronic devices, some dating back decades, were confiscated during the searches. Paul Flores was briefly taken into custody, intensifying the scrutiny on him. In March 2021, a search warrant extended to Rubin's property, utilizing cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar. The investigation yielded undisclosed results, leaving a veil of secrecy over the findings. Finally, on April 13, 2021, after years of anticipation, law enforcement arrested Paul and his father, Ruben Flores. Paul faced a charge of first-degree murder, suggesting a connection to an attempted sexual assault or rape. Investigators believed Ruben played a role in concealing Kristin's body. The arrest marked a significant breakthrough, and Chris Lambert's podcast received acknowledgement for contributing crucial insights. As legal proceedings unfolded, Paul and Ruben both pleaded not guilty on April 19, 2021. The Smart family, seizing the moment, filed a lawsuit against Ruben Flores for intentional infliction of emotional distress over the past 25 years. Allegations pointed to Ruben's role in concealing Kristin's body, hindering the family's ability to provide her a proper burial. On April 13, 2021, the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department took Paul Flores and his father, Ruben Flores, into custody concerning the case. Paul Flores faced a murder charge, while Ruben Flores was charged as an accessory. Subsequent investigations revealed that Paul Flores had attempted to assault Smart. However, District Attorney Dan Dow of the County of San Luis Obispo clarified that the statute of limitations had expired for sexual assault charges. Nonetheless, since the murder occurred in the course of a rape or attempted rape, it justified first-degree felony murder charges. In September 2021, a judge determined that there was sufficient evidence of guilt for the case to proceed to trial. Initially scheduled to commence on April 25, 2022, the trial faced a delay due to the defense's successful change of venue motion granted on March 30, 2022. Consequently, the case was relocated to Monterey County, where Judge Jennifer O'Keefe presided. Pre-trial motions were addressed on June 6 and 7, 2022, with some decisions made and others deferred. Over 1,500 jury summonses were dispatched to county residents, and jury selection commenced on June 13. Opening arguments were presented on July 18. On October 18, 2022, separate juries, simultaneously hearing the case at the Monterey County Courthouse, declared Paul Flores guilty of first-degree murder and found his father, Ruben Flores, not guilty of accessory after the fact. Ruben Flores faced a maximum sentence of 3 years in jail. During the Ruben Flores case, one juror revealed to Judge O'Keefe that he had sought spiritual guidance from his priest due to the stress the case caused him. Consequently, this juror was dismissed, and an alternate was sworn in, prompting a restart of deliberations. Paul Flores received a sentence of 25 years to life on March 10, 2023. Currently, Paul Flores is serving his term at the Pleasant Valley State Prison. Notably, on August 23, 2023, Flores experienced an attack by his cellmate, Jason Budrow, serving a life sentence for murdering his girlfriend. Budrow had previously killed another cellmate, Roger Reese Kibbe, in 2021. Kristin's legacy. Kristin Smart's disappearance and murder left a lasting impact on her family, friends, and the Cal Poly community. Her case also shone a light on the issue of missing person investigations and the challenges faced by families seeking justice. In Kristin's memory, the Kristin Smart Scholarship Foundation was established to help young women pursue their dreams in education and music. Outro. The story of Kristin Smart is a tragic one, but it's also a story of hope and resilience. Her family and friends never gave up on finding her, and their determination ultimately led to Paul Flores being brought to justice. Kristin's legacy lives on through the Kristin Smart Scholarship Foundation, a beacon of hope for young women pursuing their dreams in education and music. As we reflect on the twists and turns of this decades-long mystery, let it serve as a poignant reminder that we must never forget the missing and never stop seeking the truth. The journey to justice may be arduous, but it is essential for those who have been taken away from us too soon. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the disappearance and tragic fate of Kristin Smart. If you have any thoughts, comments, or additional information, feel free to share them in the comments below. And until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and never lose sight of the pursuit of justice.